attacked personally because I didn't know the soldiers personally, but yes, it was an attack of retaliation. And I feel that the other attacks were not by me or by people.
Christina Munoz, it happened outside the Army-Navy Career Center.
The deadliest mass shooting at a U.S. Army base ever.
Police say opened fire on 2 soldiers.
Reports of a shooting at a military reserve center.
Law enforcement started gearing towards active shooter incidents after Columbine.
Shooter tragedies throughout the world, all over the globe, that we are now responding to. I'm Staff Sergeant Marcus Jones from the 335th Signal Command. I am the Force Protection NCO here. One of my jobs as a Force Protection NCO is to train the Guard Force to make sure they're ready and vigilant for any active shooter events that may occur within our facility. My military training, the protective security detail training, they all sort of mesh together and merge together to give you a holistic training program to give to the guards. So what I mostly bring from there is the tactics for handling the handgun, being able to operate in small areas and being able to respond rapidly and be able to be quick on your draw with your pistol, which is what our Guard Force mostly uses. If I had to pick one thing, because there are many things, the one thing is to be able to have confidence in your weapon. And I don't want them to draw their weapon and be nervous and fumbling and not be able to fire controlled shots at a target. More power here or here?
I mean, isn't there a chance to mess up
the training program that we have established here at the 335th, it goes beyond the once-a-year qualification that the reserves have to do. So we constantly update, and every month we get new guards, we get new soldiers, where we have to refresh this training over and over. So what the once-a-year training is not enough. We have to constantly work on drawing. Every BTA, there should be time set aside to conduct this soldier training.
I need my money. They haven't paid me. I'm about to lose my house. Oh man. Oh man. Stop. Get down.
I was newly assigned to the command back in late September 2018. One of my first objectives was to do an overall assessment of the program, specifically anti-terrorism program and all the emergency action plans that come with that, one of which is active shooter training. So I initially met with Major General Bossi, who asked me to reach out and improve our community partnership. That led to an immediate phone call to the East Point Police Department requesting a sit-down. It was just a day or two later, I was able to meet with Deputy Chief Russell Popham. And we introduced myself, explained who I was, what my concerns were, my security, my training. And that conversation led to a training partnership.
So in January of this year, I was contacted by members of the 335th and basically just wanted to do some type of training. I knew that it was a standalone facility. I had some knowledge of the workings of it over the years, so I felt like it would be good to participate in this.
.681 out at Dauphin, St. Joseph.
One of the things that I wanted to do when we were planning the training is I wanted our officers to be surprised at what we were going to do that day. The exercise was held on May the 14th of this year, so I wanted them to be completely surprised. So one of the things I did a couple of days prior to the event, I basically drafted a shift of officers to participate in this exercise. Prior years, we all know that the law enforcement started gearing towards active shooter incidents after Columbine in April of 1999.
911, what's your emergency?
Please help me. He's killed everyone. I'm the only one left.
What is your exact location?
Please hurry. Oh my God, please hurry.
Okay, help is on the way. Who am I speaking with?
Emily. Emily Brookman.
Okay, Emily. I need you to stay on the line with me. Can you tell me what's going on?
The interaction with our local PD and our guard force has been the missing link in the training program for active shooter for some time now. Over our last active shooter event we did with East Point Police Department, it served to sort of bridge that gap in order to eliminate or severely reduce the chances of blue on green fratricide. Now, the way we're training our guard force is to, first, they have to respond. They have to respond rapidly. If they can contain the threat within an area, then they can stay there and hold that position until the local PD comes.
Luke, shooter contained on first door on the right.
One of the things that was challenging to our officers is that they're going into a facility where everyone is basically dressed the same. And the person that, ever how the scenario was going to be called in, the officers were going in there not knowing if the first person they encountered in a uniform was going to be the offender or was it going to be the fifth person. So it's just a thinking game.
In my view, the training was a huge success. Even though it didn't look as pretty as one might imagine. It was an initial training event with two different agencies, right? First time event. The objectives in that training event were to better understand how to effectively access a place that's controlled for access, and what do I do when I see a soldier with a weapon and it's one of our good guys? We have armed guards. So there's that handoff, there's that moment in time where that responding force, that police officer is going to meet a uniformed soldier with a weapon in his hands. Does he or she understand that that's a guard or is it a threat? And how does that transition take place? Those two objectives were met with the entire 90% of the East Point Police Department. In my view, that's a huge success.